What's going on, Packers fans and Packer Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Pack-A-Day podcast. Whether you're listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on the YouTube side, we appreciate your support. I am Matt Freilich. Alongside me, Eli Berkovitz. Below me is Jenelle Mackey. We are filling in for Andy, who is on a well-deserved vacation. I think he's in Charleston, he said. He said, hey, can you guys hop on, do a little video recording? We all turned the cameras on today, freshened up a little bit for you. So we're going to go through the injury report leading into the noon Packers-Bears game down on Soldier Field, break down kind of what we're looking at as far as the injury report. Lo and behold, another injury flares up for David Bakhtiari, guys. Good segue there. Not in his knee, but apparently in his abdomen. He had an appendix. Have either of you ever had your appendix removed?
No.
Janelle?
But I know people who have.
Janelle, take this into offense. You seem like someone that would have accidentally had to get their appendix removed.
I hear that.
I've had scares where I'll get pain on that side and I immediately think that it's my appendix, but thankfully not. But no, I saw that. And my first thought was just this dude cannot catch a break.
No.
Yeah. He comes back and it's last week we got a taste of the full line healthy and it's oh yeah, this is going to be so great. And then once again, the issues with that. And I just feel bad for him because I think I saw, he said, he went to the team doctor and he was saying I think I did something to my abdomen. And then next thing he knows, he's having surgery. So good thing he at least was able to notice it before hopefully anything was too serious, because obviously that can be problematic if it were to rupture or something like that. So hopefully it didn't rupture. It was just, easier with what was going on to just remove it. But obviously I don't know the details about his appendix, but it's just kind of one of those unfortunate, you think the knee is finally coming around and now his organs need to be removed. So it's just
forget your ligaments. We're going.
Yeah, poor David. It's just been rough for him, but hopefully I don't remember the recovery time for appendicitis because it's just a small incision, I believe. It's not a giant cut. So hopefully, quick recovery time. And then, the bye is coming up, which is also super nice. So that kind of helps out with that. So hopefully, 2 weeks from now, he'll be good to go again.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that he was at the facility, you're good. The fact that he was at the facility, it's great. You got the doctors there. You got an issue. They can easily, you have top of the line doctors. Should be a small incision, doesn't have to be a crazy scar. Mm-hmm. Great that you brought up the bye week, because I was oh man, is he gonna be able to play next week? It's 8 days, 9 days. It's oh no, there's no reason he shouldn't be able to play versus the Rams. So all in all, great stuff. When I saw it initially, I didn't even see the injury report. All I saw that was David Bakhtiari was out. So I instantly went and looked, sent you guys the injury report because we always try to monitor that when we can record on Fridays. And then as soon as I sent that, I went back to the timeline. I'm it's not even a knee again. It's an appendix. What the hell are we doing?
Well, I mean, it makes sense that would happen today because it's Aaron Rodgers' birthday, and being the best friend that David Bakhtiari is, he could not let Aaron have all the attention today, so he had to go have his appendix removed.
That sounds very much like David Bakhtiari.
Yeah.
So, let's get into it a little bit. Obviously, Bakhtiari will be out. Unsure what the offensive line will look like once again. I imagine probably Zach Tom at left tackle if I had to guess, although things could change. They're probably trying out a different, some sort of different combinations recently. I heard the boy, Zach Jacobson, trying to get, for the love of his life, is it Kobe Love? Or who's the guy who's trying to get
Jones. Yeah,
Kobe Jones, thank you. Trying to get him activated. I mean, there could be a potential there. I think there's a conversation we had to even have Rasheed Walker just being activated, being on the field.
I want to see him.
I don't know what the offensive line will look like. I don't really want to riff on it too much because it's been so volatile and it's just another wrinkle in this issue. But ultimately, David Bakhtiari out. We'll see what the 5 they roll with this weekend. I'm guessing it's going to be Zach Tom, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see another variation of another edge gentleman that we've already discussed. On the offensive side of the ball, a little bit more promising. Romeo Doubs, questionable, limited in practice all week from that ankle. To see the combo of him and Watson finally at their peak form would be fantastic. I think this is a great matchup for them against the Bears with not only a bad secondary, but they have some guys banged up. We'll get to that later in the episode. But, I mean, do you want to push – this is just kind of a rhetorical, but, would you want to push Romeo Doubs out there when he's questionable? You really have nothing to play for at this point. Why would you stunt his growth? If you can get into some flow towards the end of the season, get the bye week here, as Jenelle already mentioned, then you go into the last 4 games of the season, maybe you can get some chemistry between Watson, Romeo Doubs, and then depending who's under center, it might work out better. So would you guys, I mean, Eli, I'll start with you. Would you put Doubs out there right now based off of the timeline? I feel like he's been out for a long time, but maybe it makes sense to hold him out for another week or 2 weeks when you look at the bye.
Yeah, it does feel like he's been out longer than maybe we initially expected when he got hurt. But, I mean, knowing the Packers, I just feel like they're probably going to sit him out, wait through the bye, play him versus the Rams. And also the Rams is Monday night, so adds another day of recovery for Bakhtiari, Doubs, anyone else. So it would be nice to see him and Watson out there, but hopefully and assuming that Watson, gets through this game all right. If we see them, versus the Rams is week 13 or 14 for the last 4 games of the year. Mm-hmm. It's a solid stretch to see what they can do together on the field, whether it's with Rodgers or Love, I guess we'll see. But yeah, I don't think I would rush to put him out there. Also, like you said, there's not much to play for outside of beating the Bears, but I think they could handle it without him. And then just real quick before we move on, because I made a mistake and it's bothering me, but his name is Caleb Jones, not Kobe.
Caleb Jones. Kobe Jones. Caleb. I was thinking soccer. Kobe Jones. I think he was a soccer player at one point.
Right?
Yes.
Kobe Jones is definitely a name. Because I was like, that sounds like someone. So
that's a real human.
Sounds like some NCAA basketball player.
I like that. Point guard. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely a point guard.
Yeah.
So yeah, Doubs, if he comes back, great. If not, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I just ultimately am fascinated to see between him and Watson if they can get some chemistry with this offense. And you mix in Lazard, you mix in Cobb to see what the offense can look like. So you mentioned Aaron Rodgers, Eli, whether or not he'll play throughout the rest of the year, or Jordan Love. Surprisingly, with no injury designation this week, but again, still nursing that right thumb, that rib injury, which he was very, very gray on, very foggy on what he discussed on Tuesday on the Pat McAfee show. Basically, it seemed like he alluded to some sort of weird protocol at the x-ray during the game. He said he won't talk about it until after the season. So I was like, this is really bizarre. Is he going to say what they did was strange? But ultimately, ribs are an issue. Thumb's an issue. Carries basically just DNP on Wednesday and then limited practice Thursday and Friday. Really nothing has changed based off of how we've seen him play. Jenelle, I'll start with you. Are you surprised that he's going to – Aaron said this week, him at 75%, 80% is better than the next best guy, which is probably true. Kind of, confident or cocky, depending which way you decipher that. But, are you surprised he's going to be rolling out there on Sunday and the Packers organization, as they've done before, has tried to protect Aaron from himself?
Yeah, if you ask Aaron Rodgers, he's a warrior. He wants to be out on that field. He's a competitor. So he feels that if he can be out on the field, he's going to find a way to be out on the field. And I'm sure that it takes a lot of conversating with him to tell him, hey, you are too injured to be out on the field. And thankfully, if something were to happen, we've seen really good a showing from Love, where if for some reason, maybe Rodgers is playing in this game, they get up by enough and we can just have Jordan Love come in anyways, that would be amazing, so that we can still rest Rodgers. But it's, we all know the kind of person Aaron Rodgers is, and he wants to be out on that field. And yeah, it's kind of like you said, the doctors would have to save him from himself, because that's just kind of how he is. So you have to basically drag him off that field and tell him you cannot play. But he also understands that, if that's the case, then, he seems to have a pretty good support for Jordan Love and appreciation for him, which is good. And I'm sure he'll be able to help him any way he can from the sideline, which would be, you kind of have the best in your corner for Jordan Love's case there. But yeah, I haven't seen any indication as to why Aaron Rodgers won't at least start this game. Yeah, like I said, hopefully get up by enough and then he doesn't have to finish it. That would be the ultimate goal for sure.
That would be the ultimate goal. I got to ask Eli. I know Eli's come to find, over the couple of years, just his infatuation with Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers, but Eli takes it to a whole nother level. What are your thoughts, Eli? Do you want to protect your asset, whatever you have from Rodgers? Does it make sense to put him in a hostile environment in a Bears game? Or is it damn, this, potentially, this could be one of the last rivalry games you'll ever have. It seems crazy to even say that, because I don't envision it at this point, but going down to Chicago, he's always getting banged up down there, always nursing an injury. And just that field alone, as we know, is just an absolute dumpster fire. It's just such terrible conditions. It's not even one of the turf fields that's been under scrutiny over the last couple of weeks. It's just like
just
a
bad
nasty
field.
It's a nasty sod Soldier Field, and it's like it's gross. So it's like, are you surprised that he's going to play, or do you just like run it till the wheels fall off and like let him play until he doesn't want to anymore? I don't know. It's a tough. It's weird where I'm falling for myself with I have love to.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's weird because I'll be lying if I said there wasn't a part of me that's like at least curious to see Jordan Love in an extended stretch outside of, a quarter and a half of football. But I'm not surprised that Rodgers is going to play. Like you both said, he is pretty, stubborn. He's not someone who's just going to sit if he thinks he doesn't have to. And yeah, I mean, I really only feel like not only for this week, but the general narrative of sitting Rodgers. I mean, I do get the value of seeing Jordan Love, even if Rodgers does return. But obviously, I think there's a bigger incentive if you had a really good feeling Rodgers wasn't coming back to sit him, whether it's when he's hurt or just in general to see Jordan Love. But right now, I think too much is in the air for both the Packers to make that move because it would just be too dramatic to be like, all right, well, we don't know what you're doing, but you're benched and we're moving on. Like, that's not going to happen. So for me, it's not. I mean, the only reason I thought maybe Rodgers wouldn't have played is because there's a bye. Like if there wasn't the bye, I don't even think I would have thought about it. But yeah, we saw him at practice, at least limited the last couple of days, which is basically kind of what he does at this point. And yeah, I'm not overly surprised. I just hope that he, plays smart, doesn't take hits that he doesn't need to. And yeah, we don't want to see him, take a big shot to the midsection, make the ribs any worse, and obviously, protect the thumb, which is maybe the most important finger, at least on a quarterback's hand.
Which, I mean, now that Bakhtiari has been ruled out, that also kind of creates a little bit more concern with the Aaron Rodgers injuries because obviously you're taking away one of his, protectors. So I think it's one of those things like offensive line really has to be on their game, knowing Aaron Rodgers' condition. And also, running the ball has worked immensely. Obviously, I think both Jones and Dillon were on the injury report for the week, but I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be good to go, which is good. So I think continue to rely on them, but also, if Rodgers is going to be in, you have to make sure that you can protect him because doubt he'll be moving around a lot. I know you mentioned the field, which, you don't want him out there running around too much and risking adding like a third injury to his body. So it's going to be really interesting kind of seeing with the injuries plus the offensive line, just kind of the dynamic of the offense and how it's going to work. And I mean, maybe Doubs will come back for, on a pitch count, who knows, just with the way the offense might be rolling. So yeah, I mean, everything's going to have to click for it to work. I mean, that's kind of been the narrative all year, but especially given the injury situations here, it's really going to be extra important to protect your quarterback.
Yeah, I love how you brought it full circle to how we started. You talked about David Bakhtiari being out. Like, can you imagine being a quarterback with your blind side with busted up ribs, like worried about like your buddy's not there behind you to like block? Like, I can't imagine, like between like a shoulder and a rib injury, it's got to be the worst feeling to know that like at any moment.
Like, what offensive line are they going to want to roll with? Are we going to see one that we've seen already? Are they really going to try and like mix it up a little bit, make sure that he's as protected as possible? Like, are you gonna, where are you gonna put Elton Jenkins? Or
I feel like they should put Elton at left tackle and put Tom at left guard, or probably maybe Runyon and put Royce Newman at right guard. But
and basically just use Mercedes Lewis as your sixth lineman.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think Mercedes will probably get more snaps in most games without Bakhtiari.
Or AJ Dillon on audible plays. Have AJ Dillon just kind of pick up pass rushers, and everybody's going to kind of have to be a little bit more involved in the blocking in this game, especially because, it's the Bears. They're going to want to get to Aaron Rodgers. It's what they're going to want to do. They know he's banged up, so it's going to matter a little extra this week to make sure everybody's getting their blocks down.
100%. And just to round out this whole conversation, the offense, like I feel like all year when Bakhtiari's not been out there, Rodgers has been less confident. I feel like that's just a narrative that I've seen. I think other people would agree with me. So it's like, what does he look like now that he's got two injuries that he's nursing without finally David Bakhtiari? I mean, he was nursing the thumb obviously for a couple of weeks. We didn't really know about that, but ultimately it looks like it's impacted his play. Now he's got a rib injury and he's without his buddy on the left side. coming off a birthday weekend as well. Let's see what they'll be doing down there. So let's finish up on the on the defense side of the ball for the Packers guys. Real quick hitters there. 2 gentlemen with injuries they're going through. Questionable, Devondre Campbell with his knee. I'm shocked that he's questionable. I thought when we saw that injury weeks ago, he was going to be out for the year. It seems like he's made some great progress through the last couple of weeks. Doubtful, I will say I'm not too disappointed in this injury, would be the foot from Darnell Savage. I don't wish him any injuries or any setbacks in his career, but ultimately a lot of this has to do with my fandom of Rudy Ford, the way he's been flying around making plays. He's battling a wrist injury. Looks like he'll go fully, but that secondary group still with some injuries. Darnell Savage not looking too great this year. Had that, I think it's they're talking about like a Liz Frank injury, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was a different foot injury I saw throughout this week from someone else, but I thought that was him on the injury he had. So he's doubtful. I don't see why you'd push him. Like, let Rudy Ford play. He basically started last game, so give him the reins on that. But that's really where we're at with the defense. I mean, there's a couple guys that had some practice limitations throughout the week, but ultimately those 4 designations being Bakhtiari being out. We have Doubs with the questionable ankle, Devondre Campbell with the knee is questionable, Darnell Savage doubtful with the foot, and then obviously Rodgers, no designation with that rib and that thumb. Let's get to the Bears side, guys. I'm looking at this list, and we've done this before. I think it was earlier in the year, and I'm like, I don't even know some of these Bears players anymore. I feel like they've had such a turnover from that defensive side of the ball. It's just like it's wild. So like I'm gonna fly through these kind of quick because I don't know many of these guys, and if you know who they are, let me know. Larry Borum, ankle, knee, offensive lineman, he is out. Jaquan Brisker, I do remember the name with a concussion. He is also out. Kyler Gordon, defensive back, young kid that they drafted, I believe out of Washington State, if I'm not mistaken, or Washington. He's out with what is it?
Yeah, I think it was Washington. Well, yeah,
I was going to say I was damn close. So he's out with a concussion. Riley Reif, remember the name, back, offensive lineman. He is questionable, but was a full participant on Friday. Trevor Siemian, Eli's guy, out with the oblique. I think they shut him down for the whole year. Almost got the start last week, or he did get the start. He was supposed to get shut down. Nathan Peterman was supposed to come in. I made a fantasy move off that with the defense. Didn't really work out as I thought, but it was still a formidable situation for the Bears. And then Kendall Vickler, defensive back, ankle, questionable. So a ton of D-backs there. I mean, I don't really want to sift through anything else other than the fact that I think the big one, Justin Fields, he was, remember, been banged up with a shoulder. If you saw the end of the game, was it last week or the week before, just like in excruciating pain, it seemed like anytime he was trying to do anything. It would have been 2 games ago because obviously he didn't play last week. So great that he's out there, but they're in a situation, the Bears, with their quarterback, who's played much better than Aaron Rodgers this year, well, statistically anyways. He looks like he's a full go with that shoulder. Other gentlemen on this list I'm seeing, like, without any designations, Chase Claypool with the knee. One other thing that I wanted to bring up that I think is super notable that sometimes gets missed on these injury reports, which we've come to find out this year, recording these, the IR spots, because those don't get listed, but huge ones this week for the Bears. Darnell Mooney, stud receiver for them, trying, people have crowned him as a top 20 receiver. He hasn't really taken that next step, in my opinion, this year, but he was put on IR. Eddie Jackson last week, saw the big play. I believe it was from who did they play last week? Do you guys remember? It was the Jets. Oh, yeah, it was from the rookie Garrett Wilson. Puts his foot in the ground, basically breaks Eddie Jackson's ankle. So he's out. One of my favorite non-Packers in the league, Eddie Jackson, their safety. So he's on IR. That defensive backfield, I think this is what we need to focus on, right? Like I already mentioned 3 guys that are questionable or out between Gordon, Brisker, and Vickler. And then also they're missing their stud safety in Eddie Jackson. Like
Christian Watson is going to have so much fun.
He should, right? I mean, that's really what it should be. He should just
if you have Watson out there, and then if Doubs is out there on a pitch count, like there's no reason why they should be.
They're so injured, the Bears. I mean, they have no, I mean, you barely knew their secondary as it is, and now it's just.
Well, and even with Watson, like given Rodgers' injuries, Watson, you don't need to throw him the deep ball. He will make it a deep play with his speed. Yeah. So I think that is also going to be super beneficial. We saw, with the Jordan Love play and how just, Watson knows his angles and he will beat you. So I think that if they can get him the ball, he's going to have a really fun day, and I'm going to have a fun day because I love watching him run. It's just so fast. Like I just love watching these fast guys because growing up, like that was the one thing that, my dad would always say, like, you can't teach speed. And so I just love these guys who are just fast like that. So I think he'll introduce, because did he play against the Bears in week 2 or was he still hurt?
He's still hurt, I believe. Yeah,
so he hasn't, made his mark on his number one enemy now. So the Bears need to be introduced to the revamped Green Bay Packer Christian Watson.
100%. Eli, your thoughts? I mean, I guess it really comes down to you guys. Like when we're looking at this full circle, right? The defensive backfield super jacked up. It seems like it'd be an opportunity for Christian Watson to take advantage, or Doubs or whoever. But like the X factor is going to be Aaron Rodgers' health, right? If they're going to be able to maximize this, otherwise it's going to be kind of one of those slobber knocker ground and pound games. Eli, is that kind of your thoughts, that it's going to come down to Rodgers' health, or depending how he's touch and go before the game?
Yeah, I mean, definitely will impact it a lot because, I mean, on paper at least, as not as not good as the Packers have played this year against this Bears team with all the injuries they have, they really should win this game, and their offense should be able to move the ball relatively easily. So, as usual, I'll say that regardless of Aaron Rodgers' health, I think Aaron Jones should be the focal point of the offense. But yeah, I mean, when the Packers need a big play or when they need a third down conversion, and I'm sure it's going to happen, I think, a lot of people are assuming the Packers are just going to like roll over the Bears, which I don't really understand why. Even when the Packers are good, it's usually a pretty close game.
100%.
So yeah, I mean, Rodgers' health definitely going to play a role. But if it was up to me, Aaron Jones, I mean, week 1, he averaged over 8 yards a carry, had 130 rushing yards on 15 attempts, caught a couple passes. Also, he had 2 touchdowns total, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. So, and he also had huge games versus the Bears throughout his career. So it's just feed Aaron Jones, use Aaron Rodgers when you need to. And yeah, I mean, you're in a pretty good spot if you're using Aaron Rodgers sparingly and moving the ball down the field through the run game.
100%. Looking too on the defensive side, we haven't focused much on the offensive side for the Bears. I mean, David Montgomery, it's basically the offensive line. It's just not allowed anyone other than Justin Fields to make plays this whole year. David Montgomery's played down. Cole Kmet had a couple good games. We mentioned Mooney's out. Chase Claypool had an injury throughout the week. We'll see what happens. The one thing I do want to say on the defense, well, 2 things really, is they force a lot of turnovers this year. They're just barely outside of interceptions forced at 6th in the league, but they have 9 on the year, and then forced fumbles, they're actually top 5. Just rocking it that way. So like they're going to cause some disruption. And then the final thing, if you really want to throw a wrench into it, guys, they're third to last in yards given up on the ground. I didn't even know this until this week going through this, which makes sense based off of the Eagles game. Packers are dead last. So we might just see ground and pound across this entire game. But ultimately, like depending if Rodgers can't get that offense flowing and that thumb's bothering him and those ribs are going him, there should be a path of success with being able to run the ball, because it looks like anyone's been able to do against the Bears this year going off of just like all team stats. So we're not doing predictions. We don't do predictions anymore.
No more.
Eli said probably is going to be a close game. I agree. I don't understand why people would think it would be a blowout. I'm going to say it's going to be a close game because not only is it just the way both teams are playing this year, but it's like you said, Eli, NFC North matchup. It doesn't matter who's like anything. I've come to learn doing Pack-A-Day and any other Packers content. I just throw out the records and throw everything out the window. Plus minus, point margins, spread, over under, like everything just goes out the window because it can be Lions, Packers, Lions, Vikings. It doesn't really matter. It's always going to be a tight matchup. So
when divisional games, you just never know either. Like obviously. I think, isn't there some record where like whoever wins, or like if the Packers win, they're the most winningest team?
Yeah.
Franchise. Am I, Eli, clarify?
Yeah, Bears and Packers right now, I think they both have, I think I saw 786 wins, which when I say aloud seems like so many.
That seems so much. I'm gonna take a look. 700.
Yeah, because I think there's like some.
That's like so many. Maybe it's something 86. Maybe it's 286, not 786, but whatever it is. So yeah, 700 seems way too many. But
I mean, after 100, yeah, there's
that much I know, that they are tied, and the winner will be the most winningest franchise ever. So
like stakes are super high. Divisional game, everybody's gonna put their all in it. And the nice thing is, the bye week following. So that's going to be super nice. And yeah, I'm expecting, it's been a rocky road, but it's Bears week, and there's no excuses right now. Got to get that win.
Eli, you were right. I'm actually shocked. So
I'm shocked you were right.
No, I'm not shocked by that, but I'm shocked by the fact that 786 is, and I thought it was like through the rivalry. I was confused. Yes, Bears have 786 total wins. Packers have 785. So
like 10 wins a year for like 70 plus years. I mean, how
unreal, right? Like when you said it, I was like, oh, he's talking about the rivalry. Then I looked at the rivalry. I'm like, they've only played like 190 games, and it's like there's 7 more wins for the. I was
like bizarre, but I guess well, when the Bears are as old as the Packers,
yes.
So it's like you think like twice a year, then it's just the numbers all of a sudden starts at because they're in their 104th, 103rd, over 100.
Yeah, we are, yes.
So I mean, lot on the line. Bragging rights, ownership resignings, franchise records. So it's gonna be a hopefully fun Sunday.
Noon game. The only disadvantage is I think that it's in Soldier Field. Like that's what kind of sucks. Like I hate those. Like you just look at the field and it's like I think the first when was it? It was a game earlier in the year and I saw the Bears field. I'm like, okay, it looks decent, but like throughout the fall, it gets so torn up. I can't even imagine.
Were they the ones where the lines were like super crooked and like?
Oh, it was that. You're right.
Down the sideline, yeah. Because I mean, that grass, you can't even get a straight line on it. It's just.
Does anybody know what the weather is supposed to be like?
I don't. The weather, I believe, the report.
Eli, our Chicago man.
What's going on down there?
Eli probably doesn't believe in like the weather or something.
I don't believe in the weather. Number one, I honestly, unless it's like an hour away, I do not believe in weather forecasts. You can't predict the weather. It's not
forecast. He doesn't. He believes in weather. That it
He's like, I believe in weather, but I don't believe in predicting the weather.
Exactly. Weather as a concept, I do believe in, but you can't predict it.
Meteorologists and Eli just know.
According to meteorologists, whatever that means, it's supposed to be actually pretty nice. 40 degrees, no rain, no clouds. Not a ton of wind, so should be decent conditions for the Packers to trounce the Bears.
Hopefully it'll be an NFC North slobber knocker. That is for one thing that'll be decided in the trenches. Aaron Rodgers, the landlord, if you will, of Soldier Field, going down there and taking care of business. We'll see what the reaction to him is returning after his statement from last year being down there. But we'll wrap this up here. Eli, let everyone know what you got going on. I know. Open Book's been crushing over on Game On Wisconsin. You, Jenelle, and Zach Jacobson. Let everyone else know what you got going on, where they can get in contact with you for all your content.
Yeah, so obviously here every Saturday, every Wednesday on Open Book. You could find my writing over at Packer Report, and for just about everything else on Twitter at @bookofeli_NFL.
Absolutely. Jenelle, what do you got going on, and how do you keep your wits between being with Eli twice a week and then you have Zach? It's just It's nuts. I can understand why you're fatigued at the end of the week.
I mean, I spend like, my work day plus, strength and conditioning, working with middle schoolers. Therefore, I am prepared to work with them because they have middle schooler-esque personalities. So I'm trained well through my jobs where it's, it's a cakewalk at this point to be able to work with them as much as I do. But no, it's fun. And obviously, like Eli mentioned, I mean, I'm with Eli twice a week on Open Book on Wednesdays with Zach, and then obviously Pack a Day here. Obviously, we have the video and the audio this Saturday, which, again, Andy, well-deserved vacation. So you get to see us today. Lucky you guys. And then I also, every once in a while, will pop onto Packer Report. So, keeping busy. But find me on Twitter at BigMac_4 if I have time to tweet. That's where you'll find my work.
And then also your passion project, decorating your backdrop. I mean, we didn't even comment. Look at the Christmas tree and the
Christmas tree. I know.
Actually, I have to be able to show you the cheese star. Obviously, beautiful. I need to get like a picture of Bart's star to put on it, so it can be like
star on star.
I just have to figure out. Well, I don't have a printer. So I might need to just go like print out a picture from Walmart, but then I have to figure out how I want to put it on the star because I don't want to ruin the star. But I take my tree very, very seriously. There obviously is the Geordie ornament at the top, as he should be.
As always.
Featuring,
Love it.
I also have Randall Cobb, you can see right here, and then Clay Matthews. I can't get my hand to point right there.
Fantastic. I
So
love it.
if anybody knows where I can get player ornaments, let me know. I saw somebody post a Charles Woodson one. I know there's a Bart Starr one out there, but yeah, I got to get a few more ornaments for my beautiful little backdrop tree.
And I'm sure your cats aren't a menace at all on the tree. I'm sure they're very, very
No,
respectable.
when they sneak into my office, it's like immediately chewing on it and all that other nonsense. So I'm nervous to put up my tree in my living room for those reasons, but we'll see. Wish me luck with that.
And no apologies to the people on the podcast side that just listen to us talk about a visual thing for about 60 seconds. So go check it out on the YouTube side towards like the 30-minute mark in the episode if you want to see Jenelle's tree or throughout. Always love when the podcast version, the video version just completely obliterates any sort of content listening or watching. For myself, you can find me still on Twitter at Matt_Frey_. That's at MATT_FRA_. Check me out with Brendan Dworzinski. We're getting through a little lull. He had some stuff going on. He was covering Kansas Jayhawks basketball. I went to a basketball game for the Bucks. It's just, we're getting back into it. Mondays, 8 Central Time on the YouTube side, game on Wisconsin for the final dump. We'll be breaking down, hopefully, a Packers victory for the Bears. No injuries that have came from that. And then we'll look into the bye week. I don't know what the hell we're going to preview for that, like basically the next 4 games of how that looks. But hopefully it's a way to decompress from the weekend and then go into the week looking for maybe some betting lines or just some breakdown from some news as we set you up for another week of Packers football because they're running low, guys. Eli said it earlier. He said week 14 or 15. Like, he's got to be wrong on that. I'm like, oh, shit. It is actually week 15 when they play the Rams.
I was about to say week 12, and I'm like, no, we
when you said 13, I was like, isn't this, or like,
it happens so fast every year.
Eli's in denial for how quickly the season is going.
Because it happens every year. It's like, oh, we just started. Here's week 10, and it's like, no, it's gone.
Right.
Yeah. Not only is weather forecast made up to Eli, so is time. He just doesn't believe in it.
I don't believe in
time is made
forecasting
up.
time. Now we know we're moving backwards in a loop. You don't know.
Fantastic. Well, for Eli Berkovich, Jenelle Mackey, I am Matt Freilich. You guys be well. Enjoy the game. Noon game. Bears, always a good rivalry. Game should be one of the trenches. A little bit of a slobber knock. We'll see who can come out on top with some injuries. But as always, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.